Who is this snarky white guy? Can we quickly answer that query and seamlessly transition to our topic? Yes. Yes, we can.
What's your name? Snarky white guy. Real name or moniker? Moniker. Word that rhymes with moniker? Harmonica. Is that a real rhyme? Not really. Favorite color? Red. Favorite pizza topping? Chicken. Is that red? I hope not. Well, that was uncomfortable, which ironically is the first of our 7 deadly sins of China. Well, that sounded dramatic. I probably should have said the 7 social faux pas of China. Or maybe saying 7 things you probably don't want to do in China would be a better title. Because much like saying, hit me, when you got 2 queens in blackjack, these things don't always work out in your favor. Hit me. So talking about uncomfortable subjects in China rarely goes as well as one could hope. In fact, often it goes over about as well as taking your cell phone and poking up underneath the skirt of a girl on an escalator. Yeah, that's a no-win situation right there. Ooh, polka dots. So what are topics that are best advised not to discuss in China? Politics, religion, the status of Hong Kong or Taiwan, comparing China to another country. And here's the caveat. I'd avoid these subjects in China, and not because the average Joe in China won't be able to discuss them or won't want to, but rather they will. Sadly, while all roads lead to Rome, this particular rabbit trail, no matter how carefully or light-footed you attempt to travel it, usually leads into a train wreck. And possibly a knuckle sandwich. The fact is, Chinese people are very passionate about matters that concerns them, almost to the point of blind fervor. And if you happen to disagree with them about any point, and who agrees with everything, you'll likely have some agitated, annoyed, or even butthurt conversation buddies. Worse still, you could agitate some ultra-nationalistic passion, which could quickly escalate up into a us versus them scenario. Best call? Avoid the ultra-muddy conversation topics. As a culture, the Chinese tend to be a little less touchy-feely than the next. Now, that doesn't mean you can't shake hands with someone you just meet or go to second base with your girlfriend on a crowded bus. Hello. Although she'd probably appreciate this more behind closed doors. So what this does mean is people in China will find it a little bit weird to the point of invasiveness if you pat or rub their head, give them a good shoulder massage, or even a good smack on the bottom. But at least until you're sure about your standing with them. I always prefer to be on a first name basis with people who smack my bottom. Now, for all the fuss about touching people you don't know in China, you'll ironically find personal space is very much at a premium in China. Therefore, in public places, you'll often find yourselves crushed, mashed, touched, and yes, even fondled as you queue up for a line or even a seat. And that's how your wallet gets stolen, and possibly your kidneys. So let's talk about chopsticks. Chopsticks in China have one purpose, and that's for eating. They should never be used for gesturing, pointing, waving, a drumstick solo at the table, and should never ever be used to scratch your unmentionables. No matter how righteous the adage is. So the Chinese have a lot of ideas about chopstick etiquette. You can't take your chopsticks and bang them against the side of your bowl, because yeah, only a beggar would do that to get attention. Also, you can't really take your index finger and point it too much on the end of your chopsticks, because you could be pointing out someone or something, or even making an accusation. Good shrimp. So one of the biggest mistakes you can make with your chopsticks is inserting them vertically down into your uneaten food, as they resemble the incense that the Chinese use to burn when sacrificing to the dead. Yeah, that's no good. People actually will come by and take your chopsticks right off your plate, because yeah, that's bad juju right there. Yeah, that's a good way to make friends. It's also considered very brutish and uncivilized to lick your chopsticks, slurp off of them, or use a single chopstick with a dried out chicken foot as a crude back scratcher.
Do you have hard to reach itchy spots on your back?
Of course.
There's just nothing worse than an itch that can't be scratched. But what can you do?
Introducing the Chicken Foot Back Scratcher.
Woohoo! Proprietary rooster tech. Claws that never need sharpening. It's fashionable and hipster approved. 100% satisfaction guaranteed.
Thank goodness.
Order now and we'll double your order with a second chicken back scratcher for only $1 more. Orders today, only $19.95. 1-800-CHICKEN-FOOT. Operators are probably standing by.
So I like to eat out as much as the next guy. Maybe more. But sometimes the lines can be a little bit blurry on who pays, who orders, and is it okay to go Dutch in China? As opposed to double Dutch, but nobody jumps rope anymore. No. Well, I guess they do. So in China, when someone invites you out to the meal, they're the host. And they expect to pay for the whole meal. In fact, they're likely to get offended if you offer to chip in a little bit. Now, if you're the host and you invite them out, you're expected to pay for the meal, the whole meal. Sadly, most Chinese bathrooms don't have a window to crawl out, so you probably can't stiff out on your bill either. It's also considered rude if you are not the host or the inviter to order the food for everyone else around you, the guest or the invitees. The host is the one who orders the food for everyone else because he's the one paying the bill. So yeah, it's not a rude thing. But hey, it's a free meal, so find something you like. It should be noted that in China, it's considered good manners to argue fervently over who gets to pay the bill. Speaking of services rendered, I bet you thought I was going to talk about the world's oldest profession, didn't you? Tipping is not a thing in China. Restaurant service people, cab drivers, delivery men, and the lady who gives you a way too painful foot massage may be offended if you actually offer them a tip. Don't want it to be awkward? Pay them what they want, no more. Don't try to haggle over the price of your noodles. That being said, many service-related industries in China, like tour groups and massage parlors, automatically include a tip into the final price that they give you, as both an incentive for their employees to do good work and to gouge you, the customer, just a little bit. You're welcome. Fun fact, tipping actually originated in the late 1400s, and it was called vails to the servants, where vails, or coins, were given to servants, or bar wenches, in the belief that they would get expedited service if they waved a few coins in their direction or possibly slipped them in the bar wench's cleavage. Hence the term moneymaker. Needless to say, this is a system that works about as well then as it does today. Seriously, don't voluntarily tip in China. Now, I know in the West we're conditioned to do it, and we even see it as a little bit of a generosity thing, but in China it's not well received. Some folks may even see your attempt to pony up a few extra bucks as being somewhat nefarious, or maybe trying to garner extra favor that you're not earned. Seriously, just don't do it. Never gonna get it, never gonna get it. No self-respecting guest in China is going to accept something to drink, something to eat, or a gift without repeatedly and vehemently refusing it many times, even if they're hungry or thirsty. As a host, you need to know that you need to offer something to them many times until they accept it. Although things do get a little awkward if you hold your guests down and waterboard them with a glass of lemonade. Likewise, when someone offers you food, drinks, gifts, or perhaps an amateur mammogram, who knew? No matter how eager you are to accept whatever's being offered, polite Chinese etiquette would indicate that you refuse many times before accepting it, lest you appear pompous and greedy. So this leads us to our final bullet point, losing face. Making a friend, acquaintance, or even an authority figure lose face is probably the worst thing you can do to someone in China. Unfortunately, this can be done on purpose or even accidentally by not showing respect for position or stature, publicly humiliating them, embarrassing them, injuring one's reputation, or your actions somehow slowed or impaired the natural order of things. Now, face is closely related to individual and collective relationships, or guanxi. So face is complicated. A lot of times Westerners assume face is just Chinese being too sensitive or maybe a little thin-skinned, and yes, there is an aspect of that there. In reality, face is also a very convoluted part of good Chinese manners. Understanding it will help you avoid awkward situations, avoid misunderstandings, and help you avoid burned bridges. And help you make good with the ladies. Remember, your goal in China should be less about promoting yourself and more about building relationships. When you're humble and gracious, doors open up to you in China. So yeah, you can totally exist in China just fine by ignoring everything I said completely. I dare you. Double dog dare you. And yet, if you avoid these 7 deadly sins of China, or 7 things you probably shouldn't do in China, you know what? It's gonna go a lot easier for you. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys joining me. Like anything else, stay frosty. We'll see you next time. Polite Chinese etiquette did it. Gotta love this. Anytime you're talking, you got people just gonna come here and hang out and, hey, what's going on? I don't know if you guys can actually pick it up on my microphone or not, but there's a dude right up there. He's taking a poo. He just walked up there on the side of the hill, dropped his drawers, and he's taking a deuce right up there. Ugh. Nasty.